What's good, YouTube? Back with another reaction. This is from my dog GMF. It is a collab with the one and only Tyler. Two great content creators coming together. It's like a fusion of Patara levels. It's gonna be multiplied power. You feel me? Before we get started, make sure y'all check the link in the description to join Discord com. Make sure you also like the vid. And if you don't want to miss out on the movement, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, both on YouTube and Twitch. You are assigned 3 good Ds in the next 24 hours. Hope you handle these Ds well and come out like Hercules, brother. Make sure, as always, y'all drinking some water. Y'all getting some sunlight. Y'all eating good and getting sleep. Without further ado, I'm trying to crack into this video. This is which Ben has better aliens than Omnitrix, featuring Ty Learn with the boy GMF. Talk to me.
Which Ben got the better aliens in their Omnitrix? It's been a debate as old as time. Since Ben got the new 10 in Alien Force, comparisons have always been made between each alien. But did maturing give Ben better transformations? Or did the Omnitrix fix a problem that never existed? On December 27, 2005, Ben Tennyson received
See, that 05-06 era, bro. Straight greatness when it came to cartoons, anime, media, cinema, anything.
for the very first time the life-changing device known as the Omnitrix. The watch
It started with an alien device, did what it did. It stuck itself upon his wrist with secrets that it.
gave him the ability to transform himself into a super-powered monster.
He's not a monster. He's an alien.
It came with a few diverse aliens, which were his starting 10. Forearms, Upgrade, Stinkfly, Grey Matter, Heat Blast, Diamond Head, Ripjaws, Ghost Freak, Wildmutt, and Accelerate. These aliens are some of the most iconic members of the franchise, not only in superpowers, but in multi-generational merchandising. A fun fact to note is that Cannonbolt was actually going to be a part of the original 10, but ended up being
I didn't peep he wasn't part of the original 10. I knew he got showed like later on, but like, I could have sworn maybe it's the reboot I'm thinking about. I could have sworn he was there.
swapped out for Diamond Head. He does, however, end up becoming a replacement for Ghost Freak in the Omnitrix after the Purple Poltergeist escaped.
Okay,
but about 3 years later, on April 18, 2008, Ben underwent a huge change. He got 5 years older. Gwen's magic changed color, and the main character got a whole new list of 10 aliens.
I don't recognize any of these guys.
This new roster gave birth to a new list of icons for the Ben 10 franchise, and they forever changed the show as well, bringing in new powers and new designs to Ben's wrist, and a new set of problems as well. But what caused this change of aliens between the two series in the first place? Well, the Omnitrix in the first series got a default playlist of 10 aliens, each being unique and different in their skill sets, size, and designs. This was what the creator of the watch, Azimuth, set as the default set.
You're getting like, see, we get in the lore, we get in the background before they really get into it. I like these. Excellent content as always.
Of aliens for the prototype version of the Omnitrix. After Ben took it off in the mysterious period between Classic and Alien Force, the watch lay dormant for about 5 years. However, the DNA collection process didn't. You see, the alien species for the Omnitrix are always being scanned and surveyed, and added to the watch, increasing the size of the catalog. This is done through the use of these alien mosquito drones that collects the DNA and stores that DNA at the planet-sized databank known as Primus. So as that continued to update the Omnitrix, it created a new playlist of 10 for Ben. And when he donned the watch again in the first episode of Alien Force, it updated for the first time ever, giving Ben a brand new playlist to use. From a production perspective, we can clearly see that between Classic and Alien Force, the show underwent
Yes, sir. W mod in the chat.
quite an overhaul. Being headed by the now late Dwayne McDuffie, his vision for Alien Force was a lot more mysterious, darker, and grittier, and a new playlist of aliens would only be suitable in fitting this outlook on the show. So in order to keep the series fresh and evolving, there needed to be a change. But does changing the aliens actually improve anything, or was the old playlist already perfect? We can evaluate this using these 3 points, which are grading the designs, utility and versatility, and lastly, scaling and power level.
I like they always take it serious. They always take down to like the fairness of the video, the analytics, it's all like, you feel me, concise. Not a lot of people do that with their takes, and it leaves gaps and makes things really unadequate, I guess, in ways. But I mess with it. It's tough. It's tough.
Of these aliens, which we'll be having our expert Ty Learned break down. Starting with Classic, which had Dave Johnson be the genius that gave us the starting 10 aliens. Meanwhile, in Alien Force, the designs were handled by the genius Glenn Murakami, who gave each alien their own distinct look and feel for an
My boy said genius. We're very clear on where he stands.
older version of Ben Tennyson. Of course, a lot of design philosophy goes into creating multi-generational iconic characters like these, but I think the best principle to bring across that is shape language. This is a basic design principle of using shapes to convey feelings of emotion, meaning, and personality without having to directly say it.
Very important, because as we've been talking about with a bunch of reactions we've been doing, the nuances in everything is what makes it hit us hard and gets rid of that saturation and creates a feel of uniqueness. And that, we've been using the word, start with A. I don't know, my brain's defaulting to ambidexterity, but it's like the ability to be like unique and stand out. It's gonna bother me. It's gonna bother me because I don't got it. Authenticity. That's certain authenticity to the work. So I think shape language and like design in itself is a part of what makes something better. Some people may make it power, but this is why it's a truth-filled video. There's still opinion, but it's backed up by a certain level of logic, and it's told outright. So if you're gonna go, oh, these are experts saying these are better, cool. These experts are saying it's better in these standards. So if you're comparing it on something else, that's something completely different. You feel me?
These three basic shapes demonstrate how shape language is used in illustration and animation, where circles are soft and approachable, squares are solid and strong, and triangles are dynamic, dangerous, and sometimes unpredictable. Combining these shapes into a design is what makes it more interesting and realistic. Two aliens that come to mind that demonstrate a good use of this principle are Humongousaurian forearms. Both are large, sturdy squares that for both Bens are the reliable, strong aliens that are a must-use when he's in a bind. The shape psychology makes them pretty easy to read and understand from a purely visual perspective. Big strong Dino Boy and Big strong Red Boy. It becomes more complicated as the designs iterate though, as we can see a difference with Goop and Upgrade, where both are lanky organisms that are constructed mostly with ovals to show the soft and approachable nature of these transformations. However, their relaxed body shape definitely forms a triangle, which is used to capture that dynamicism. It shows that these aliens are more versed than simple figures and can do a lot more than what meets the eye. With Upgrade being a tech-controlling bundle of nano slime, and Goop just being... However, we do see the mold get broken even more with this comparison here between Diamond Head and Chroma Stone. See how Diamond Head is obviously a square and a few rectangles, being a sturdy crystal guy. You can probably assume that he is one of the strong ones, but Chroma Stone breaks that rule. Being forged of squares as well, with a slender figure, sort of screams more fragility. And with use of upside down triangles as well in his design, it says that he is more of a dynamic rock than a sturdy diamond. But this is where my biases start to show, as this sort of conflicts with the simplicity of the design, and it makes the powers for the Alien Force aliens more challenging to identify for a super casual viewer. I decided to
talking about, that casuality. Okay, now we're talking the difference between male and female design. Talk to me.
Ask my girlfriend about the more complex Alien Force designs to prove my theory. She came relatively close to nailing the exact powers of each of these aliens, but she was still pretty far off from nailing the exact abilities of what these aliens did. I mean, she thought Chroma Stone had super strength only, when I guess he sorta does, but that isn't exactly what this design conveys, and it sure as hell is far from what he does. It still doesn't change the fact that Classic nailed this aspect of having better designs, because I decided to ask her about the most unclear design, which was probably Upgrade, and she called him a flexible robot penguin. So I know for sure Dave Johnson would be taking the W on these designs. I think also another factor that does make the classic designs more appealing is nostalgia. Most casual fans would be more familiar with the classic designs than the designs from Alien Force, and this shows with how many of the classic aliens made further iterations into other shows. Aliens like Forearms and Diamond Head being in every iteration of the show without much of a design change does show that these aliens stuck with the audience for much longer. This does give the win to Classic, having 1 point over Alien Force. Now, beyond just having cool designs, the utility and versatility of these aliens is also very important. I think especially as a superhero, having a diverse set of skills is just as important as not wearing your underwear on the outside of your costume. Take for example, Batman and his utility belt, having a solution for every problem, or even Superman with his 6 different superpowers. Having versatility in your abilities is the make or break factor between life and death of innocent bystanders. Ben Tennyson isn't short of variety in his Omnitrix, as he has an alien suitable for every situation, regardless of the Omnitrix that he has. Need a flyer? We got you. Need a guy with fire powers? We got you. Need a guy with super strength? We have those in spades. This is one of the main reasons why the Omnitrix is appealing in the first place.
Did he just get low, bro?
In spades.
Bro,
this is one of the main reasons
straight little boy
why the Omnitrix is appealing in the first place. But the design principles of shape psychology are very telling in regards to the aliens that are very versed. Take for example, 2 major icons of the respective Omnitrixes, Heat Blast and Swampfire. Both are the respective.
Very important, because people always compare these two because they have fire powers, but like they both use them differently. And even though like from looking at them you go fire or heat, there's way more complexity there, and you can tell by the difference in design. Kind of blocky. There's a triangle shape. Just based off what he's saying before you even get to it, there's this inverted triangle shape. There's direct imagery of fire. But what's important is there's a triangle following fire. There's a triangle following his face shape. If you showed his straight body, there's a triangle there, which shows like that that versatility kinda, because he has like thrown like just hot rocks, but it's also just a fire dog. You feel me? There's round shapes, there's square shapes. Useful, but he's like just like a little bit of everything, an all rounder. While with Swampfire, you got your triangle, It's practically a diamond, but there's a triangle here, there's triangles here. You got, more round shapes. There's no real round shape at all. Well, there's round here, which gives off that approachable vibe.
Fire guys of their watches. But a major difference is that Swampfire has 1 more superpower than Heat Blast, which is his ability to manipulate plants. This gives Ben Swampfire more options in combat when it comes to fighting. While Heat Blast does possess the power of flight and Fire Blasts, Swampfire's list grows even longer, being able to trap enemies, regenerate from lethal damage, and also create plants that give him the home field advantage basically all the time. Sort of like Rillaboom's grassy terrain. This sort of gap in utility becomes wider with each alien that we compare, with one of the most basic comparisons being between Jetray and Accelerate. While Accelerate is still the fastest alien on land,
Jetray can go into space, can hit hyperspace, and also has like the laser vision. There was definitely more flexibility to the designs and giving this older Ben a power system that he's had before, but it's a little more vast, because if they ever read themselves in the corner story wise, this is the interesting piece that keeps you there. That's my take on that.
And Jetray is able to do far more until it becomes unfunny. He can fly, shoot lasers, breathe underwater, he has super strength, and hyperspace travel. This kind of versatility leaves aliens like Accelerate in the dust of irrelevance, and it only gets worse once we compare even more, because classic aliens for Ben are a lot more one note, are more of specialists in their main skills. Take for example Ripjaws, he's the swimming guy and he's only the swimming guy. Grey Matter is the smart guy.
Heavy on Ripjaws, because like when he would turn into him on accident in a situation, he's cooked. If you turn into Big Chill on accident and there's nothing necessarily to freeze, he can still phase, he can still stealth, he can still fly. You turn into Jet Ray, same scenario. You turn into Accelerate, but you're on an icy area, you're cooked. Jet Ray can fly at high speed and still get the same stuff done. It's that like that was important with the time we watched back then because it pre-fires and shows us the creativity of then and what humans can do under like circumstances that are like not always optimal. This is why he makes a really great plumber later down the line. This is important because it's in his DNA. That's what his grandpa do. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my dog Max.
And only that, he does have a niche skill in being small, but outside of that, he genuinely is useless. Hence, this would give Alien Force the edge in a band for band battle about who can do more. But a great way to measure what an alien can do is through their power level and scaling. So let's hear what Ty Learned thinks.
When it comes to comparing the two rosters, it's actually not as simple to break down than you may think. For comparison, we will start off with the most iconic matchup, that being Heat Blast versus Swampfire. The problem with Heat Blast is past the original series, he rarely ever gets used, but he does have a feat on stalling Dag and Vilgax, I guess, and also scaling to Victor. Meanwhile, Swampfire has been consistently portrayed to be one of Ben's physically strongest aliens, taking down the likes of Vilgax, stalling Agrigor at one point, and he has statements implying he's even superior. I think another issue as well is that Swampfire in Omniverse gets a lot stronger as well, unlike Heat Blast, who kind of stays stagnant. Swampfire went from getting overwhelmed by a bunch of other Swampfires to now one-shotting those same guys. So if the gap with Swampfire and Heat Blast was already big to begin with, Swampfire more than likely made up for it by the time of Omniverse rolling around due to blooming. Swampfire as well has much more versatility, having vines that can restrain his enemies, regenerate, seed bombs, and even sleep gas. Heat Blast has better control over the element of fire, and in terms of raw firepower, he's probably stronger than Swampfire, but this is the only category I can say Heat Blast has over Swampfire. As far as the physical beasts of the Omnitrix goes, when it comes to physical strength, Humongosaur has multiple statements implying he's the strongest alien within both Alien Force and Ultimate Alien, which would imply that he's superior to the likes of Forearms, and when it comes to comparing their feats, I think Humongosaur definitely has better feats than Forearms as well. However, what keeps Forearms from being counted out here is his statements of being stronger within Omniverse, and obviously he has access to Humongosaur at the time, though at the same time this seems to be contradicted when Ben has access to Forearms already, yet within Season 1 of Omniverse he kept insisting on using Humongosaur to get the job done, implying Humongosaur is more effective than Forearms. Now I think with statements you can argue for Forearms and a case definitely can be made for him, but consistently Humongosaur has just been portrayed to be Ben's most physically effective alien. However, speed is just as important as power, which leads us into the next matchup, that being Accelerate versus Jet Ray. Now when comparing not only their feats in speed but also overall performance, Jet Ray is just better, bro. Accelerate's best speed feat is him moving so fast that it looked like he froze time. However, this feat was only calculated to be around massively hypersonic, a level of speed that even Ben's slower aliens can replicate. We also have him evading Hex's light as a kid and dodging Eon and Malware's attacks. However, these aren't really feats Jet Ray can't upscale from, as we literally saw him quite literally traveling through hyperspace, meaning bare minimum he had to been moving beyond the speed of light to travel through this space. He's also just tussled with Ultimate Kevin, which is better than anything Accelerate has accomplished in my opinion. And Accelerate's whole thing is that he attacks with his speed. He does have sharp claws that could be deadly to Jet Ray, but aside from that, he has no way of trying to get to Jet Ray other than moving in a circle and trying to make a tornado, which Jet Ray can easily stop by just shooting a laser at him. And lastly, for our big matchups, we have Diamond Head versus Chromastone. Diamond Head is the MVP alien of the OGs without a doubt, and we actually have scaling between the two that seems pretty straightforward. Chromastone in Season 3 of Alien Force nearly died to Vilgax. Diamond Head then proceeded to destroy Vilgax after Chromastone was destroyed, therefore Diamond Head should be stronger than him, right? However, I don't think it's that simple, due to Chromastone later on in Ultimate Alien being able to absorb energy from a much stronger Vilgax and attack.
Yeah, because Chromastone, that boy, noggin, huge noggin of doom, bro, turned into Cthulhu. But Chromastone is up there when you talk about aliens like Way Big and Atomics. So I would never go and like put Diamond Head immediately up there, but Diamond Head has outperformed him. But comparing literally ability for ability, the entire point is things are going to go up from the simplicity that life was when Ben was a kid. There's creativity there because things were so simple. This isn't going to work. We have to find a way out. This is the only thing we can do. Okay, let's be creative with it. Simple, but things become more complex. So even though there are straightforward things, there are now complexities in those straightforward things. So now, instead of just, I have this one option, I can go around by doing this. Now it's like, I have these two options. I go around by, coming up and then going to the side, coming up, going this way, coming up one diagonal, going around whatever. So yeah, it's really just a difference in, I guess, also the era and like the time of like, oh, we've gotten this once before. How do we up the stakes?
Dagon. While Diamond Head goes on to somewhat combat Malgax, which is an inferior version of the Dagon one. This is probably the closest matchups, as there's an argument for both sides, but I would still give it to Chromastone at the end of the day, due to the fact that he can utilize lasers, which is something that can weaken Diamond Head. And he also has other abilities that Diamond Head can't really counteract, like flying and regeneration. He can like throw crystal projectiles, but I mean Chromastone can easily just evade those. He also has the ability to absorb energy, which is probably just going to be a lot for Diamond Head to handle all at once. And if they were to fight in close range, maybe Diamond Head could win, but Chromastone playing the long distance game should allow him to beat Diamond Head. And as far as other matchups, I think you guys are starting to see a pattern here. Brainstorm not only is someone who sees throughout all possibilities, but can actually fight unlike Gray Matter, so he would be more effective. Big Chill can quite literally freeze the entire Null Void phase through opponents and has a bunch of hacks, while Stinkfly can shoot gunk that makes decently large craters, I guess. It's just really not a fair comparison. The only other alien I can really mention here that stands a chance against the Alien Force roster is Cannonball, who unironically does still stand as one of Ben's strongest aliens. However, he isn't a part of the original 10, so we can't use him as a comparison.
Okay,
so in my opinion,
he's not a part of the original 10, but he was in the first series, so I wasn't tripping.
I think the Alien Force roster is just kind of a better version of the original. And thank you once again, Grey Matter Fanboy, for letting me on the channel.
Thanks for summing that up, Tyler. So, there you guys have it. The better starting 10 officially belongs to Ben from Alien Force, without a shadow of a doubt. But it doesn't mean the classic Omnitrix is useless, and the only way to prove it is by testing it against a great planetary threat. Could Ben Tennyson actually stop Conquest? Because...
And every time he does these comparisons with Ben, he always goes to the classic, dog. That was a good video. Which Ben has the better aliens in their Omnitrix, featuring your boy Ty, learned by GMF, aka Grey Matter Fanboy. Appreciate those of y'all who was tuned in live. So check out the Twitch. Link in the description down below. I think. Yeah, it is linked in the description down below. So is the Discord community link. So if you want to get 2 of those good deeds that you have to do within the next 24 hours done, it will be very beneficial if you help the community by commenting on this vid, and you join the Discord community on Discord. I would appreciate that immensely. Appreciate y'all boys for sticking through to the end. That's about all I gotta say. So, peace.